join me in welcoming Chris Colfer.
Selfies, is that okay?
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness. Here you go, here you go.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you.
Hello everyone, it's so great to have you here. My name is Maureen. I'm currently a second year at the university studying political economy, and I will be moderating the event tonight. Thank you so much, Chris, for coming here today. It's really a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, it's truly an honor. I love Berkeley. I have a lot of great memories here, so thank you.
Now, before we begin, if any audience members have any questions, please save them for the end, as we'll be having an audience Q&A. Great, and with that, let's get started. Now, Chris, you've been pretty busy lately. You released a new book. You've also had a new movie come out, but you haven't taken on many acting roles in recent years. What drew you to the project, The Restoration at Grayson Manor, after spending the last few years focused primarily on writing?
Well, the script for The Restoration at Grayson Manor came into my email box about 7 years ago, and it was just the most diabolical and twisted thing I'd ever read that I knew I'd regret it for the rest of my life if I didn't sign up immediately. And it had a lead queer character that was very multidimensional, who was a very flawed person, but was a person. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of gay characters are still written more like toucans than people. They're just kind of in the corner squawking about Drag Race. So I really was attracted to the source material, and I'm a huge horror fan, and had never gotten an opportunity to do a horror movie before.
Wow, great. Now let's revisit some of your earlier acting career. In a 2010 interview, you explained that Glee creator Ryan Murphy incorporated your past experiences into your on-screen character, Kurt Hummel. What was it like for you to assume a role inspired by your own life?
It was interesting because I was doing experiences or recreating experiences that I had in my own life, but I was playing someone so different from myself. Like Kurt was a very big fashionista, and I had never even heard of Marc Jacobs before I started the show. So it was very interesting doing something so close to home through the lens of another soul, but also it made it easier and it made it feel less exploitive.
When you first joined Glee, openly gay characters were still really rare on network television. How did it feel to be one of the first actors playing a queer role on such a mainstream show?
It was terrifying. I grew up in Clovis, California, not too far away, and it was a very, very conservative town where being openly gay in high school just wasn't safe. People got beat up, people got stabbed in bathrooms, people would be attacked on their walking to and from school. So I was very scared to take it on. But the reaction that I received from queer kids around the world, I mean, to this day, I still get thousands of letters a week from kids who are in places, unfortunately, where they are not allowed to be who they are. So that was probably one of the greatest, most rewarding experiences of my life. But it did have some consequences. There was a lot of security issues. I got death threats quite a bit, and became very agoraphobic actually for a little bit. So that was pretty daunting. But at the end of the day, it was one of the best experiences of my life, being a queer person on television.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what that experience must have been like. Did that more tumultuous time in your career impact how you potentially view taking on other roles in the future?
Yeah, I think so. I think after Glee, I definitely needed to take a little bit of a break, just for my own sanity, and just try to kind of find a little bit of normalcy where I could. But I think once you get handed a character like that, you look for characters like that again. And kind of like I said before, sadly they're just far and few between, especially for young people. If I can still consider myself a young person.
I'm sure you can. Yes, you can. Don't you worry. 10 years ago, you actually also expressed concern about being typecast in queer roles. From your perspective, how have opportunities for LGBTQ plus actors evolved beyond the quote-unquote gay character?
Yeah, I hope I get to play queer characters, gay characters forever because I think they're just very interesting. A common misconception is that we're all the same. I think for the first decade of my career, almost every queer character on television was written like Jack from Will and Grace. I just didn't want to play the same type of person over and over and over again because it kind of loses the fun of it. I love acting because I get to pretend to be different people and I get to have different experiences. So if you get handcuffed to a certain type of person, it loses the joy for me.
Kind of continuing on that theme, Glee was your first job and you stuck with it for all 6 seasons. Mm-hmm. What was it like to grow alongside the same character for such a long period of your life?
Oh, it was interesting because sometimes he would advance a little bit more than me. Sometimes I would advance a little bit more than him. So it was kind of like very much like a Bruce Wayne Batman situation. I feel like, I look back at the show and I do wish we had done more authentic young queer experiences. I think the first 2 seasons. Through his whole arc with all the bullying and the harassment that he received, I think was the most impactful because it was happening to so many people. And then later on in the show, he got a boyfriend that kind of turned into a fairy tale, which was great representation. But I know a lot of queer kids at the time weren't worried about marriage in high school. So I do wish we had explored a little bit more real situations that kids were going through.
Yeah, I'd be a little bit surprised if the high schoolers thinking of marriage.
Yeah, please don't. If you're in high school, don't get married in high school.
Oh man, was it difficult at all to let go of Kurt after the 6-year run came to a close?
I did notice when I would act in a few things here and there, a lot of his mannerisms would come up, like the way he would stand, the way that I'd speak, a lot of stuff that I had to unlearn. Yeah.
Now, in between filming seasons of Glee, you actually wrote, executive produced, and starred in the comedy film Struck by Lightning. What inspired you to create a project of your own, overseeing it from start to finish?
So at the time, every single story about young people in high school, including Glee, but specifically every movie, was the characters were always motivated by sex and popularity. And when I was in high school, I was not motivated by either of those. I was very motivated by I was very goal oriented, and I really wanted to put a story out there for kids that were like me, because I think it was a good example to have. I always wanted to be a writer, and I just had an opportunity to do it and took it.
Did that project affect your performance in future seasons of Glee at all?
Not really, no. Maybe it improved it a little bit because I think when you get to stretch your muscles as an actor, you just become a better actor. I think sometimes when people get stuck in one zone, they aren't improving or advancing.
Now, acting involves a fair amount of reading and drafting before the cameras ever get involved. Mm-hmm. How did your experiences with storytelling on screen influence your creative process for writing The Land of Stories?
Well, I think acting is a great tool if you're a writer, and writing is a great tool as an actor because you can really dive into the character and their motives, and if there's something that's not on the page, you can create it yourself. If the director or the creator or the writers allow you to. So I think they both. It's a really nice symbiosis if you're lucky enough to be able to do both.
You mentioned in a 2010 interview that you didn't want to seem like, quote, the stereotypical actor who wants to write. Mm-hmm. Did you ever face skepticism from the industry when you decided to make that transition?
Yes, absolutely. I remember when my first book came out, a lot of people wrote about how it was it got dark, right? Oh no, it's happening. A lot of people wrote that I had ghostwriters, and I've never had a ghostwriter. God, I wish I had sometimes. There was a lot of extra criticism because of that.
How did you end up finding confidence in your voice as an actor?
Oh God, I think I had the ignorance / bravery of youth. I don't know if I could do everything that I did then now, because as you get older, I think you get a lot more fears. And you become less confident as you get older. So I was very lucky that I had these opportunities at the time that I did, because I just had pure confidence and had no doubt that I could. In fact, I wanted to keep doing more and more and more.
If you could give any advice to your younger self right now, what would you give them?
Oh my gosh, I would, if I could go back in time, I would tell my younger self, especially during the Glee years, I was so. It got really, really scary. And there were times when, like, I would be in a hotel room and I'd have to barricade the door because someone would be loose in the hotel looking for me. It was that kind of stuff. And I never talked about it because I never wanted to dissuade any other queer people from following their own goals. And I didn't want them to know about some of the dangers that were out there. And if I could go back and tell myself anything, I would say you really need to speak up about that, because it's not something you should be going through alone. Because it was a very, very isolating experience.
Speaking of difficult topics, in a recent interview, you mentioned that you incorporate heavy topics from your life into your books as a means of introducing real-world problems to young readers. Mm-hmm. How did you strike a balance between being honest about such tough topics, while also keeping your stories age-appropriate?
Well, that's tough, because you want to have an adult conversation with. Most of my books are middle grade, so readers from the ages of 8 to 12, and you want to have really mature adult conversations with those kids. But you don't want them to get bored, or you don't want them to lose interest in the story. So you have to really be very strategic about what seeds you want to plant and where you want to plant them. But hopefully, if I do my job right, as my readers grow up, they'll have all these tools they don't know where they came from to deal with situations that I wish I had dealt with better as an adult.
Has writing about these topics in a way that kids could easily understand them impacted how you've perceived those issues?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes writing is very therapeutic, and you can really work out a situation with words. And also, describing really big topics to children, I think, also helps you understand it too, because you get the bare bones of it, but it also, on the other side of the coin, makes you so frustrated with some of the social things that we're going through right now, because they're so ridiculous and primitive. But if you can convince kids now that these things are ridiculous and primitive, then maybe they won't fall victim to them later.
Speaking of what's going on in the world right now, some of your books have actually faced bans for including diverse characters and themes. As an author who's really trying to introduce real-world topics to younger readers, how do you feel about your books being considered quote-unquote controversial?
I love being banned. It is free publicity. I mean, it's very frustrating, because there is nothing in my books that warrants being banned. People have said that I'm pushing liberal propaganda, that I'm pushing a gay agenda. I'm not. I'm just teaching people how to be decent human beings. And it's really unfortunate that that's become political now. That just looking for human decency is now a political stance.
Has this changed the way you think about your role as a child author, as an author of child books?
Not too much. It does. It's really frustrating knowing that every time that I publish a book, there's a lot of conservative people, religious fanatics, are waiting for me in the wings to say something about it, or to try to tarnish my career in some way. But I think as you get older, you have to start thinking about who are the people that I want to impress, and who are the people that whose approval that I want to get. But also you have to think about who are the people I want to piss off. I think that's equally important.
What made you specifically decide to write children's books as opposed to writing for other audiences?
I just write my reading level. I think all the Land of Story series, which is my first series, was something that I wanted to do as a kid, but I didn't know many words. So I just waited until I was a little older. But I've always been very curious, and I've never lost. I think curiosity is a superpower, and I've never lost that. childlike curiosity, and that always makes me want to write for kids, and I feel very comfortable in that space.
You mentioned earlier that you believe younger people tend to take on more initiative.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a reason why you think you wrote The Land of Stories so early into your career?
You know, the reason I wrote Land Stories when I did was because I was on Glee, and I had just won a Golden Globe, and people wanted me to write an autobiography. And I said, I'm 19, I don't know if that's a good idea. But I said, I've always wanted to write this children's series, and then luckily I found a home at Little Brown Young Readers. So that was really just kind of the path that led me to that.
Were there any other creative avenues that you would want to pursue?
Oh, I would love to be a trapeze artist. I just don't have the joints for it. Yeah, I mean, I love storytelling. I love every single type of storytelling. And I've been very lucky because besides, I think directing is the only thing I haven't done yet. Maybe someday I'll do it. But I've been able to tell stories with on TV, on film, through books, through dance, through song. So I think as long as I'm telling stories, I'm happy.
That's honestly really great to hear. We love your stories. Now, in 2016, you said that, quote, I don't think you can change the world by persuading an older generation. You change the world by educating the new generation. How has this philosophy guided your writing process?
I think my writing process really proved that theory to me. I don't think sometimes it's worth energy arguing with older generations because sometimes people are just too stubborn, and unfortunately that comes with age. But I think that if you really want to change the world, you start with the generation below you.
When you wrote an episode for season 5 of Glee, you hesitated because you didn't want to tamper with someone else's world. Mm-hmm. Now that The Land of Stories is going to be turned into a movie franchise, what level of involvement do you see yourself undertaking in this adaptation?
I'm going to be like a helicopter parent on this. I'm one of the main producers, thankfully, so I do get to have a say in everything, and I will. Yeah, no, we're very lucky because we have some amazing people working on it right now. We have Phil Johnston, who wrote the Wreck-It Ralph movies and wrote Zootopia and a number of other things. He's going to do the first draft of the script. And my partner who's producing it with me, her name is Emma Watts, and she ran 20th Century Fox for many years and is responsible for movies like Deadpool and Avatar. So right now we're just kind of building the army, and it's looking really good. I've been in this industry for 20 years now, so I know how quickly things can change, and you can never really plan on anything, but it's looking really good, and all the executives at Warner Brothers, their kids read the books, so that helps. Yeah.
That's all very, very exciting. What is something that you believe should not be changed in the movie adaptation?
I think just as long as Alex and Connor, who are the main characters in the book series, as long as if they stay true to who they are in the books, I think that's the number one thing. I've been in many different adaptation situations with the series over the years, some that have been announced, some that have not, and it is absolutely crazy how the character of Alex Bailey. One time I was in an adaptation situation where they wanted the whole thing, her whole existence, to be about her first kiss. Like she was no longer a smart young woman who was courageous and intelligent and precocious. It was all about this boy's attention that she wanted to get at school. So I burned that studio to the ground. And so I think just really keeping the integrity of the characters and one thing that I keep saying in meetings with Warner Brothers is no 10-year-old has ever left a movie theater saying, wow, I really respect the artistic liberties they made with that adaptation. So really just giving the readers what they want to see, because they're our first test audience.
As somebody who's been in both the acting world and the literary world, what do you think is the biggest difference when it comes to storytelling in those two different formats?
Oh my gosh, well I think you have to have a very good understanding of what each format or what each of those venues are, and you have to keep you actually have to keep a finger on the pulse of what people want at the time, you know, and I'm probably one of the only authors that'll ever say this. There are certain things you can do in a book, and there are certain things you can do in a movie that you can't do in the other. So really grasping, like for a movie, for example, the visuals are so important, right? The visuals and the sounds are really doing everything you can to make those visuals and sound as good as possible. And with a book, it's all about the words. That's pretty obvious. Yeah.
Great. Now, before we move on to the next portion of our event, I want to ask one last question. You built a career that's inspired many young readers and performers to embrace who they are. When you look back at everything that you've created so far, what are you most proud of? You know, I think lately it changes constantly, actually. When I ask myself this question, I think being Kurt Hummel on Glee was really profound for a lot of people. Not just myself, but for a lot of people watching him. And I think the honesty that I had off camera too helped a lot of people through their own trials and tribulations of coming out of the closet at that time. But lately, I feel like creating Alex Bailey is maybe one of the best things I've ever done, because I've just seen how much she has inspired so many young women. And she's the number one topic that people want to talk to me about at book signings. Great, thank you so much. Now, before we move on to the audience Q&A, I'd like to ask a few fun rapid-fire questions. So say the first thing that comes to mind. Oh, okay. Now, what is your favorite book-to-screen adaptation?
Oh, favorite book-to-screen adaptation. I really love the movie Notes on a Scandal. I've seen with Judi Dench and Cate Blanchett. Treat yourselves. It's great. They did a great job with that one.
Dream musical theater role?
Right now, this changes too. Right now, I'd love to be Joseph in Joseph and Macy Technicolor Dreamcoat, but only if I can play him like an absolute moron.
The next genre you want to write?
I think my next book is actually, I might be writing my first adult novel soon, and it's going to be a horror novel. Yeah. That was a great reaction. Thank you. That's the encouragement I needed. Thank you.
Favorite cover from Glee?
That I did, or that someone else did?
Both.
Well, I think, oh my God. I think Kristen Chenoweth's cover of Maybe This Time is, and I had a front row seat to it. That was phenomenal. I think my favorite. I think the best song the show created ever was the Adele mashup. The Rumor Has It, Someone Like You. I think, yeah. Oh my God, I'm getting chills thinking about it. I think, I don't know, my own. I can't stand myself. I really liked Being Alive. I really liked As If We Never Said Goodbye. What else? I really like Rose's Turn.
Is there someone that you would love to work with?
Oh my God, yes. I would love to work with Fran Lebowitz. I have no idea how that would happen. But I love anyone with good stories. One of my best friends in the entire world is June Squibb, who is 96 years old and currently starring in a movie and about to go perform on Broadway. She has the most amazing stories because she was in the original cast of Gypsy in the 50s. She got arrested with what's her name? Ethel Merman. They got arrested together once during Gypsy. A sheriff, they were on tour, and a sheriff came in and said, "This musical is about strippers. You're all under house arrest." So I love anyone with anyone who's kind of a living legend who has a lot of stories to share.
Do you have a favorite fashion tip from working on set?
From working on set? Oh no, I was not allowed. Lou Eric was our costume designer on Glee, and she's an absolute genius, and she is one of the reasons why my character came to life so much. And sometimes I wouldn't even know what I was doing in a scene, but the clothes would all do it for me. If my only fashion tip, I guess, is just don't ask me for fashion tips.
Most memorable fan interaction.
Oh my God. They're all so sad. There's a little boy once that we were at a signing tour, an album signing tour, and when his dad wasn't looking, he slipped me a note, a secret note under the table that had a little rainbow clothespin bracelet that he had made. A little note that just said, "Thank you so much." So that I think it was the first one, probably the most meaningful.
Favorite fairy tale?
I think Sleeping Beauty. I love the idea of sleeping for a century and waking up and all your problems are solved. And I also just really love the pettiness of the evil fairy in Sleeping Beauty, where she's just like, "Sure, you didn't invite me to your party. Cursed."
What's always on your writing desk?
A lot of empty diet soda cans. And I have, usually, depending on what I'm writing, I'll have like different tchotchkes. So like for the Roswell Johnson series, which is my sci-fi middle grade series, I had little aliens and like a little replica of Space Mountain. So it just depends. God, I have no idea what I'm going to put on my desk for the horror novel, but it won't be cute.
NorCal or SoCal?
Those are fighting words. Well, I'm from Fresno, so I'm right in the middle, and I'll leave it there.
Very diplomatic.
But I live in SoCal, but I love NorCal.
We love to hear that.
Can't we all just get along?
Well, those are all the questions that I have for you today. Let's give Chris a round of applause.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.